Our 2 cents.
With Oscar.
Welcome back to our 2 cents. We're doing it again here at Raxo Studios with your host, Oscar. Our 2 cents, WOscar.com, our 2 cents on all social media. Thank you for all your support. Please hit that subscribe button. It's free to you and it means the world. Le monde, moi. I hope that was correct. And it means the world to me. Please hit the subscribe button. And also hit that comment section. Hit it up. We need comments for the algorithm. Thank you very much. If you do, awesome. If you don't, we'll keep asking for them. But thank you. And with that being said, happy National Gummy Worm Day. It's like I'm going to say it like I'm Trump. Happy National Gummy Worm Day. Each year, National Gummy Worm Day gets a day recognized on July 15th. Gummy worms are gelatin candy created by the Germans. The Germans, you know, they're great people. Company called Trolley. Hashtag National Gummy Worm Day. That was pretty good. I thought that was pretty good. I hope I'm right. Gummy worms are green and red, but come in a variety of flavors such as sweet and sour. These creepy treats are one of the best-selling candies of all time. Gummy worms are inspired by the original gummy candy. Gummy bears, other sweet and sour gummies treat include snake, peaches, and gumdrops, just to name a few. Don't eat too much. They make it out of pigskin, I guess, and cow hoofs. I don't know if that's true, but they say they do. But they're good. They're delicious. Who doesn't enjoy some gummy worms after a good workout? I do. I know I do. Happy National Day to you if you're a gummy worm lover and you eat plenty of candies. We're going to try to do it again. Happy National Give Something Away Day. You got to give stuff away. Stuff you don't use away no more. Give them away. Most of us have benefits of having more than we need to live. National Give Something Away Day on July 15th offers us an opportunity to share some of our bounties. Hashtag Give Something Away Day. In the United States, giving on the rise. According to Giving the USA, the greatest country in the world, giving rose in all 9 major categories in 2016. Education, I didn't even understand what I read, but religion, education, human services, given to foundations, health, public, social benefit, arts, culture, and humanities, international affairs, and environment, and animals. Well, give something away if your heart desires to be helpful. Only if you desire to. Don't do it because you think it'll make you look good. Do it because you genuinely feel the necessity of being a giver. Don't be a jerk. Anyways, happy National Day to you if you are a given person. And even if you're not, happy National Day to you. Be nice. Give stuff away that you don't use and that you're never going to use again. Don't put it away. Don't do what I do. Don't leave it in your garage for months and months until you decide, all right, I'm never going to need this again. Don't do that. No. Well, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen and non-binary folk, I bring to you today, I'm excited for this one. To me, I don't even know how to express how much what this is for me, right? Because this gentleman I have the opportunity to talk to works right next to a celebrity that as a child I used to watch in the soap operas with my mom and my grandma. They were good at it. They loved those novelas. I mentioned one, like, for example, Migas de Rivales. That was one of them that they loved. And this gentleman, it's working side by side with her as sidekick and producer of Cali Radio 93.9, number one reggaeton y más, and the founder and host of the Latino podcast, Salud Podcast, and dad of a golden retriever, Benito. We talked about it, and I got to know him a little bit, and I'm excited, to say the least. Thank you to the universe and to Jose Quintero for giving me the opportunity. A native from the Inland Empire, that's where I'm from, not born, but raised in the Inland Empire, originally from Michoacano. It gives me great pleasure to say I bring to you Jose Quintero. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
There you go. Jose Quintero, nice to meet you, man. Thank you very much for accepting to do this.
Sorry, my lighting is super horrible. Okay.
The glare from the window.
Yeah, me acabo de bañar.
Ya era hora, ¿verdad?
Sí, no, ya me hacía falta. Necesitaba baño.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. It's good to maintain refresh, especially right now, man. It's getting so hot right now.
Oh, yes, for sure.
Is it just me, or is it every year? Does it feel like it's getting hotter, or is it just that we forget?
No, I feel the exact same way. I was like, yo, this year, I don't know what's happening. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. This year, I feel like it's been a little bit chiller, just because I feel like we're already halfway through July. I don't know how it is where you're at. I'm in the Inland Empire. I know you said you're a little further than that.
Well, isn't Hemet?
Or you?
No,
Hemet?
I believe it is. I think it's borderline high desert.
Dude, I failed geography, so don't trip.
Hey, I don't even know where I'm at right now, so I just know it's California. That's the only place I know. So
cool. Well, no, because I feel like I've always thought like July was like hella hot, right?
It's at least the beginning during, because I know, you know what? If I'm making my memory correct, I know that August is when we get the hottest day of the year. One of those. It's like around mid-August is when we get the hottest day of the year.
You're right. August is probably when I'm going to remember this conversation and be like, yo, he was right.
I think that's what it is. I think every single one of us, we always forget how hot it was the previous year. And it just, but then again, if you look at other places like Arizona, they're talking about like 120 plus weather.
Yeah.
I don't remember ever hearing about that. I remember it being hot over 100, but not over 120. That's ridiculously hot.
Well, I mean, no te vayas tan lejos, Death Valley, where people go just to take the picture, and 131 degree weather. I'm like, why? Why?
That's just a different kind of animal if you can live out there, man.
Yeah.
All right, then, Jose. Well, I'm gonna let you go ahead and introduce yourself. Please plug everything you got going on, and we'll go from there.
All right. Hola, everybody. My name is Jose Quintero. I guess I'll start off with what I do for work. I'm a radio host at Cali 93.9's LA station, co-hosting with the legendary Echale, which is amazing. I have my own podcast called Echale Podcast. So formerly it was Salud Podcast, but there's been some rebranding happening, and Echale was actually a brand that I created back in 2016. And it started off as just YouTube prior to me working in the entertainment industry. And then I kind of put a pause on it. And I'm like, you know what? It was my beginnings of trying to get into the entertainment industry. Now that I'm back, or now that I'm in the industry, right, it's kind of a reflection of what I wanted it to be. And now I'm transforming it into a podcast and also YouTube. So I'm really excited for this journey. And what else? What else can I plug in? Oh my God, I have a dog.
Yeah, I was looking at your Instagram. Your dog. What is it? The white golden retriever, right?
Golden.
Yeah.
Yes. His name's Benito, named after Bad Bunny.
Nice, beautiful.
Yeah.
I love dogs. I have a German Shepherd. She's a Leia. I need to make a website. I mean, a page for her so I can keep it up. But it gets to be a lot, especially. You know, I'm barely trying to break into this because let me back up a little. First of all, let me say congratulations on your job. Angelica Vale, I was in love with her and Amigas y Rivales. You know what I'm saying? I remember when I was younger, I used to watch her. I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Beautiful. I really, really appreciate you giving me the opportunity. You've been in her presence, you know, that at least I get to talk to you.
It's funny that you mentioned it because I always thought about that. I'm like, Angelica, thank you for letting me be in your presence. And she's so humble about it. She's like, ay, Jose, cállate. And I'm like, oh. All right, so te digo, ay, cállate.
Well, man, I'm just, glad that you gave me the opportunity to get to talk to somebody that that's in the industry, like literally, you're there. Because I remember as a young child, well, I mean, still young, but I'm still dumb. When I was like about,
you will always be young and dumb and free.
I don't think that ever goes away, No. But I remember when I was younger, I used to look into, I used to like recording myself on cassette. I used to record myself like over cassettes, but I never pursued it because somewhere along between between 13 and 18, I came across weed and alcohol. So that got distracting.
That tends to happen.
Yeah, no.
Alcohol over here.
It went down a bad path for a couple of years, but not too shabby. We're back, though. I'm not worried about those years because if it wasn't for what I went through, maybe I wouldn't be here today trying to find the opportunity that I've always searched for. Because like I said, I would record myself even singing. And, my sisters and my grandpa would look at me like I was crazy, because I remember as a child, we were living in Corona. In those apartments over there by the 91 and Lincoln Street. I don't know. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with that area because you're in the IE. So, but I remember we used to live off of there, and I would just turn on the radio and just hit record button. Like, I used to put the cassettes. Yeah. Like I was still back in the early 2000s, I was using cassettes to record myself, but I never pursued it or did anything with it. Although my interest in radio has always been there. But like I said, I got distracted by life and I never pursued it. And on top of that, I never researched anything on how to get into the radio. And nowadays, the opportunities are endless. With YouTube doing what I'm trying to do right now, that gives me the opportunity at least to dip my toes into your world, which is radio, and it's like,
and you have the concept, which is amazing.
It's for me to get the concept of what I really wanted. It's been a long journey to where I'm at today because I had to undo everything I'd done in the past in order for me to rebuild myself into a different mindset. All right, you gotta, in order to get things done, you got to get them done when they're in front of you, and not wait till all right, I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah. Go through the problem, not around it.
Right.
Or the obstacle.
Exactly. And that's the thing that was holding me back. It was not surrounding myself with the right individuals around me, and also not working on myself as far as exercising, reading, and all that. That all. I'm not saying that I read every day, but I do mostly audible books. It's not the same, but
that's the never-ending story. I think with a lot of us, like, I know I need to read more, and I'm starting to read, but I don't really do it a lot.
Yeah, no, it's tough. It's tough, especially if you put it so long. So long. The only times I used to read before now, it was like when I was in school. But I got out of school and I was like, I'm done. I tell everybody, I went to college for like 2 hours and I was like, I'm out. This is not for me. But, the opportunities are here today and you have to seek the opportunities. And I get angry at people when they start, when they start complaining about what's happening to them in their lives. But most people don't understand that it's like it all starts with you. Yeah. If you're unhappy what you're doing, well then find what makes you happy and do it. It's not going to be easy because, like I said before I went into this little tangent right here, you have to undo what you've already done in the past. In order, like all the bad habits, you have to get rid of those and get new habits. Because with the old habits, obviously you haven't done nothing, so why keep doing the same thing? But yeah,
it's really hard to break cycles, and sometimes these cycles is not something. It ultimately comes down to one's motivation to do it, but there's a whole team behind it. I know for me, for example, there were so many insecurities within my life that even though I knew I needed to fix them and I had the drive and the motivation, there was still a village behind me. My family, close friends who knew the internal issues, at the time, Bible study, like my youth leaders, and then now as an adult, like therapy. So there's a lot of the things, and it's what I mean when people ask like, oh, should you do it? It's like, oh, like, no, but it's hard in the beginning, like you said, but then it gets easier.
Yeah. I mean, the hardest thing is getting started. Well, and you know what? It's not it. Now that I say it out loud, I don't think it's it. I think the hardest thing is maintaining the consistency.
Oh, yeah. That, there you go.
Yeah, I want to say my 235th episode.
235th?
Yes. I've been since 2000.
In the game.
I'm sorry?
Yeah. You've been in the game like a long time. Wait, and do you release your weekly or are they daily or?
At first, when I started in 2019, let me back up a little bit. I love telling this story to everybody. Okay. So before
got my attention.
So before I got my all my shit together, before I had it all straightened out, what I wanted to do, that I needed goals, that I needed to at least straighten out my life, right? Before I started to do that, I told my wife, with my luck, I feel like as soon as I get my shit together, the world's going to come to an end.
Oh my God.
And I first month, December 2019, I started the podcast. Oh my God, don't blame me.
It's your fault. You started COVID.
That's what
didn't start COVID.
I'm telling you. I told my wife and I called it too. I was like, with my luck, everything's gonna go down. And where we at today? We're hopefully not, but we're probably at the brink of nuclear war too. So
hopefully not.
You gotta keep our fingers crossed. We gotta pray to the right. We gotta pray the right prayers. Because these people, just because they feel like they own everybody, I guess, right? I mean, how does that work? That's ridiculous. That was a whole different conversation. But anyways.
Yes. I'm going to grab my phone and text my brothers because the dog is barking.
Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, what was I telling you before I told you that I was going to tell my wife? I lost my train of thought. Jesus, I'm bad at this.
No, don't worry. I go on tangents all the time. I was literally texting my brother and be like, yo, tell the dog to shut up. They're like, so they're taking care of it. It's because my dog, he's food driven and food hungry. And so we have 3 dogs, right? So we have the eldest, which is Leo. Then we have Benito, which is 9 months. And then, with 2 dogs, it felt like, all right, this is chill. With the 3rd dog, because my youngest brother was like, I want a dog too. And I was like, all right, sure, why not? It feels like a freaking farm in here. And sometimes they'll bark at each other for either toys, food, and it's the older one and the Benito, my dog, who fight the most. Him and the younger one get along because they're closer in age. The oldest one is 8. So I'm pretty sure right now the pleito, la bronca es con el más grande.
Are they all golden retrievers or?
No. So oldest one is Mutt, so he's a boxer pit bull, and then there's Benito, who's a golden retriever, and then Mac, he is a Labrador retriever, all named like their names all come from celebrities. So Leo from Leon Messi, Benito from Bad Bunny, and then Mac from Mac Miller.
Nice. I also got 3. It started with a Chihuahua, and then I got my right. It was because I used to live.
Got big dog.
Well, wait, hold on, because I can justify myself. All right, so it started because I was living at my dad's. I was living in his garage, so I didn't have enough room. So I was like, all right, I want a dog, but I can't have a big dog because we live in the garage, so it's okay. So when it was getting closer for me to have the opportunity to get my own house, then that's when I'm gonna get a bigger dog, a German Shepherd. So by the time I move into the house, a big dog in my house, so I'll be okay. Cause I'm a scary cat. I worry about everything. So it worked out perfect. Cause by the time we acquire the house, the dog was already like decent size. She was already like 7 months. So, it wasn't too bad of her having her in a small little space. Now she's got her whole yard. But then I was picking up some bricks up from some guy that he was selling some bricks. I needed some bricks for my yard over here, and I picked them up, and one of his dogs got out, but I thought it was a puppy. And I told him, "Oh, that's a cute little puppy." And he was like, "Why, you want it?" And I was like, "Are you serious?" And he's like, "Yeah, but it was an American Bully." So there was no way I could turn down an American Bully because I always wanted an English Bulldog. It was either between an English Bulldog or a French Bulldog, and
they're expensive.
The American came through, so.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah. So you got 3 dogs. How many kids with your wife or no kids?
Yeah, I got 2 boys. I got a 8-year-old and a 10-year-old. So.
Okay. I've always wanted to ask this question, and I've only asked a couple people. How different? Well, I should know the difference. Having a dog as a puppy, how much of a resemblance or training is it prior to having children?
Well, we had the puppy after having the children, but I will say it's nothing alike. It's nothing alike at all. I know people say it is, because those are my kid pet, I guess they call him, right? But it doesn't make any sense because a puppy, you can leave it alone and it's not gonna fall off of anything. It's not gonna cut himself. It's not gonna drop anything on him. If something falls, he's gonna move out of the way. But a baby, if he pushes something, or he or she pushes something, he or she's not going to be able to move out of the way as fast as the puppy is if something were to fall on him. So a puppy you can leave alone, but a baby you can never leave alone.
No, I mean, a lot of my friends or a lot of people that I talk to, they, before having kids, are like, "Oh, we're going to get a dog just for the responsibility." So I was like, you know what? All my friends have dogs. I don't want to feel left out. So hence why I got Benito. Nice. And obviously I'm responsible enough to take care of him. But man, like if I had baby fever, like it went down after getting the dog.
Oh yeah, it definitely will, because I will say that the side of responsibility side, the responsibility is almost the same, but it's not, because like I said, the puppy, you can leave him alone and the puppy will be all right if you leave him in the kennel. Even if you leave him out of the kennel. Yeah. You better be ready to pick up a lot of crap around the house, but it'll be all right. It'll live. But a baby, it's kind of harder because it needs the attention.
Their puppy stage is way longer.
Right, of course. That's also true. But it's also, I'm not saying that it doesn't take any responsibility, because it takes all the responsibility too. But it's different. It's different.
Yes.
And also,
pues que Dios, a ver cuando me los mande.
Hey, it'll come to you. It's not, if you start looking for it, you might get the wrong one. But if you let it come to you, it'll be a lot better if it does. My plan was never to have kids. My plan was always to have fun, but that didn't happen. No, I'm just, yeah. But yeah. So going back to the radio, okay. What was the first, when you were like, all right, I want to do radio, or did it fall on you? But if it didn't, what is the first step that one would take? Because that's what I've always wondered. Because like I said at the beginning, I've never researched anything, even though it was one of the things that I wanted to do, but I never pursued. Well, what would be for somebody that's never learned any about that? What would be the first step?
So, I mean, just to answer your first question, radio was in my radar. It was just, I just wanted to work in entertainment. And what I really wanted to do was act in novelas. I wanted to go to El CEA in La Ciudad de Mexico and study acting there. But obviously, first generation student or first generation here in the United States, my friends are like, what do you mean? We came from Mexico to give you a better life and you want to go back to Mexico and do acting, and nobody in our family has done acting. So from a very young age, watching Univision, watching las novelas, Amigas y Rivales, Soñadoras, freaking RBD was like the culmination of like, I want to do this and whatnot. But I did do acting in high school and then in college. Radio landed. It didn't land. I felt like it came to me at the right time where I had just graduated college. I loved public speaking. I always knew I wanted to do Spanish entertainment more than anything. So if you're asking me what would be the first step to, going into entertainment industry, or is figuring out what type of entertainment do you want to do? Do you want to do English entertainment or Spanish entertainment? And from there, it's like, okay, well, within the Spanish media, what do you want to do? TV, or do you want to do radio? Do you want to do production, or do you want to do screenwriting, or do you want to? So, just go based on the language, first of all, what you want to do. So I always knew I wanted to do Spanish. So I knew from a young age that it was very important for me to know the language. So even though I couldn't move to Mexico City and be in El CEA, obviously, because there's also an age limit at the time, I don't know if there is now, I would go my summers to Mexico because I knew that was a perfect way for me to practice my Spanish. I would also read books in Spanish. Obviously fun books. I've never, until now that I'm older, I'll read like the boring books, which are not boring at all. Once you get older, you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
This is gold.
Yes, like how come I didn't read about this? Like when I was younger, I would have been a millionaire by now.
But you know what it is? It's the same thing with vegetables. I don't know how you are today with vegetables, but as a young kid, I did not like vegetables at all. But as an adult, I guess I've acquired a taste for it, or my understanding that I need to eat vegetables has gotten better. So
no, veggies was always in like la casa. My mom would be like, "Te comes esas verduras o te las comes?"
But did you like them?
I didn't mind. I don't mind broccoli to this day. I don't mind. What was I gonna say? Carrots. I was gonna say zanahoria. So
that's all right.
I don't like cabbage. And I don't like rábano, as I guess a veggie. What I did have a problem with until now that I'm an adult, and people always look at me like, what? Was watermelon.
What? What's wrong with watermelon?
No, I mean, I just didn't like it as a child. And maybe, and now I'm thinking about it, I just had a very soggy, probably vencida watermelon. Like, have you ever had where you just bite into it and you feel the texture, as opposed to when you bite a juicy watermelon, it's just water melting in your mouth.
Right, the crunch is not there.
Yeah, the crunch wasn't there. So I think I got traumatized, and I'm like, all watermelon is like this. I don't like
it. That makes sense. I mean, there's people that really hate soggy food. Like, if you tell them about a torta ahogada, they get like, oh, that's disgusting.
But those are bomb.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that one. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting, because like I said, my interest was there. And, I blame weed and alcohol because it was partly what mainly kept me from not pursuing what I should be pursuing. But it was also that I got a lot when I was during high school. I got a lot into sports, so that took me out a lot because. But before that, my mom in Anaheim, there used to be an acting class, an acting school. Oh. I don't know if I tell you the name, you probably are gonna be like, oh, I've heard of that. I want to say no, it wasn't Marinette. I don't know. I don't even want to remember. But she put me in those, and I was making memory also today. I was like, as a child, I was a monaguillo. And I used,
never did that.
Right, but hey, don't judge me. Okay, I'm just kidding.
No. Not that I've always wanted to,
Okay.
but I just did my first communion late. I was like 14, 15. So
okay.
then by the time I was like, okay, I'm 16, able to do a monaguillo, my 16-year-old self was like, that's not cool.
But I was younger than that though.
Yeah.
When I did it, but see, here's the thing. Here's where I'm going with this. That my interest in public speaking has always been there because I was, like I said, I was making memory. Like this was like probably yesterday or the day before, and I remember I was like, wait a minute, I used to stand in front of the whole congregation and read the Bible, and you know, and it wasn't a problem for me. And then I read like about 2014, I got a job where I was a training coordinator. So I used to do the orientation for the new hires. And this company used to hire between 15 and 30 employees at a time. So I used to do presentations in front of every Monday in front of groups between 15 and 25. So I've always been comfortable, I should say, talking in front of groups of people. It's just my muscle wasn't there. But when I got fired from that job, I don't know what happened. It was hard for me to talk to strangers. It was hard for me to even stand in front of two people and say something. It was even hard for me. I don't know what happened. But now that because like I told you, I have 235 episodes already. I've been trying to do at least 2 a month, at least. Oh, wow. But that's when like it's like, oh, I'm being lazy this month. I'm only gonna try to do 2 at least. But for the most part, when I started, I was doing Monday, Wednesday, and Friday uploading, just like constantly, boom, 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 just working.
That's a lot.
Oh, it was. I got tired, and then that's when I came up with at least 2 a month. Okay, and now I'm back to like, all right, I want to get back into the rhythm where I was uploading 3 a month again. Now I'm up to like 2 a month. Like I'm sorry, not 2 a month, 2 a week. So I try to do Monday and Friday. I try to upload, and the rest of the week, you know, I just try to figure out who else I could talk to. Like I came across you, like I came across your TikTok, so that's why I was like, I'll send him a message. And you know, but before I sent you the message, I didn't realize that you were in that radio station. I've heard that I work construction, so I listened to. Like I don't know if I should mention the other ones in front of you. I'm not gonna mention.
I don't mind.
I'm just kidding.
Like if you're gonna mention the other reggaeton station, I used to work with them.
Oh, okay. Well, no, it was no animosity. I was trying to be funny.
Oh, okay. I was like, that's where I started kind of my radio career.
Oh, okay. No, but I listened to the like 101 point, la 101.9.
Puros hitazos, yes.
Yeah, and
El bueno, la mala y el feo.
Yes, that one. And then in the afternoon,
El freeway show con la bronca.
No, yeah, I heard them sometimes too. But in the afternoon, I listen to La Chocolata.
Oh, Erasmo y la Chocolata.
Those. I'm not gonna say I listen to you because I don't want to be a liar either.
Oh no, it's fine.
But I've listened to her on the radio sometimes because my wife, she's like. She loves those actresses. I forgot her name. I'm sorry. Jesus. What?
Angelica Vale?
Yes. Oh my God. That is.
No worries.
Apologize.
Don't worry. Like I mean, she's not here with me.
Right. Okay. Don't tell her. Don't tell her. It's not like she's gonna care. No, but yeah, like she loves all those actresses. Like whoever she worked in Amigas and Rivales. Like my wife has been following pretty much all of them since those days.
Yes.
But yeah, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
No worries. We're talking about radio.
Yes. Oh yeah. And I was trying to say that I've listened to her show, like, but I'm not like an avid listener because I maintain myself in podcasts because that's like I said, that's my interest. My interest is like talking and sometimes radio. What veers me off of radio is the commercials, but I get it. Bill's got to get paid.
Es el pan de cada día.
Yeah. But yeah, like, do you get to like talk to a lot of those other radio hosts? Like, do you guys?
So yeah, yes and no. So when I started doing radio, this was back in 20. Officially, I started doing radio because I went to knock on the radio station of my pueblo. So this was December 2016. And I asked them if I could just shadow what they did. And I shadowed the very next day, and then they told me like, hey, we have an opening to do the morning shift from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. And I was like, ugh, we'll have to wake up early. Like, who's gonna listen at 6 a.m. to 8 a.m.? It's
All the
freaking prime
construction
time,
workers.
right? You know, literally all the workers who were going en el rancho a ir a trabajar, they were the ones who were listening, las señoras en la tortillería. And I was like, oh, okay. So that was like my first dabbles in radio. Then when I started working in radio in 2017, at the end of, no, this was September 2017. I started working in radio officially as a junior producer for El Show de Omar y Echale, which they were at Univision. And Univision still owns 101.9. They own also Recuerdo. They also own KTNQ. And then there was another one I'm forgetting. But anyways, I did get to meet other radio hosts. So I know La Bronca, I know El Vuelo La Mala El Feo, I know like Maria Elena Navas, she's a mentor. So they become mentors. So usually within like LA Univision, I'll pretty much know. And then with other radio stations, I've only mingled with them like, hi, bye, hi, how are you?
Okay.
Because of events that we go to. And we probably follow each other on social media and we're cordial, but I wouldn't say like, oh, we have an established friendship versus my colleagues at Univision who, I mean, I say they're friends. And even though I call them colleagues, they're friends because outside of these two businesses who are competing for ratings, we're friends.
Yeah. What do you think of the people that say that radio is pretty much dead because of podcasting and YouTube? Do you think that's true?
I would say, look at our numbers. Look at our numbers, and people are still listening, and look how many people are calling. You know what? I think it's funny because podcasting is a beautiful outlet to get your point across. And obviously, I myself have dabbled into it, but because I want to also venture out, because I know el que no hace nuevas cosas se queda atrás. Right. So it's sort of like when TikTok came around. Like I'm like, all right, let me join TikTok. And at first, everybody was judging it and everybody was criticizing it, including myself. And look, allá andamos otra vez moviendo las nalgas y todo ese rollo por los likes. But we will always go back to our foundation and our roots and whatnot. For traditional media, for the most part, which is television. When a news breaks, we go to either like we change it to channel 34, we change it to like ABC, Fox. We want to hear the news from a source that's credible. And usually, even though it's news, for breaking news, radio is going to always have exclusivity and always say the nota first. I don't know if you've noticed, if you've listened to radio, you hear some of the stuff in radio, then you'll see it in TV 2 to 3 days later. Not saying that they're slow in their news. Obviously, if it's a shooting, it's a fire, something huge, obviously breaking news stops what they're doing. But because for TV, it's a lot more complex. They have to have B-roll, they have to interview, they have to have graphics, they have to, there's a lot more that goes on. Right. For radio, it's like you turn on a mic. Hi, everybody. Let me tell you something.
And also you can have lagañas in your eye and not to worry about that.
Sí, no, yo me voy en sweats todo el tiempo al trabajo. And, but yes, no, I don't think I think radio's here to stay. I just think now there's different forms to do radio. Just like TV has been evolving, social media has been evolving, radio has to evolve. And that doesn't necessarily mean like stop doing radio. It probably means bringing in things. Adapt. My boss, my CEO likes to say, don't think of yourself as a radio station. Think of yourself as a 360 entertainment, I guess, kit where you're not just doing radio, but people are going to eventually be able to see you via YouTube, like podcasting, right? Like let's live stream. Now you have the social media component. So there's other ways to kind of continue and be an extension. And I think the difference between TV and radio, TV, you see for those who want to get into radio, when you're talking to somebody on radio, you're talking to one person. So you always want to say, hola, ¿cómo estás tú? Or, hey, how are you doing? Versus TV, you're talking to a multiple, like a multitude of people. So you have to change your verbiage. Hey, hola, ¿cómo están ustedes? Los saluda Jose Quintero, a ustedes. Oh, Viera. But for radio, you're always talking to one person because you always have to think that somebody's driving, somebody's working, and you're the passenger.
Okay. So
radio becomes a lot more personable, and it's definitely the foundation to podcasting because you get to know your personalities. For TV, the news anchors, even the entertainment like El Gordo y la Flaca, you only get to know them to an extent.
Right, because they're talking about a subject.
And they're talking about other people. Radio, you talk about your personal life. You bring in personal experiences. You have listeners. You interact with them on real time. So when people tell me, going back to that, is radio dead? I'm like, no, I don't think so. I think it's the original podcast, and I think people still go to it for freshness. Even though there's Spotify, even though there's Pandora, Apple Music, like I love music. I do it, and I'll listen to Spotify and all this other stuff. But sometimes, and 9 out of the 10 times, I want somebody to talk to me. So I want randomization. I don't want to know what song is coming up next, because if I look at my playlist, I know what song is next because I already have it memorized in my head.
It's not as fun, huh?
It's fun. I love the music, but I'm like, I love just the spontaneity of the radio. Like, oh, I haven't heard that one in a while. Right. Or when they're talking and they're doing segments, and it's like, oh yeah, you're right, and you start fighting, crying with the other radio hosts, or you're just like, fuck, I don't want to turn it off because I want to hear what's next. Like I want to know, is he cheating on her or not?
See, that's
chismosos.
Right. That's why as soon as they gave you the opportunity, you got the other opportunity to get the job, because see, you pay attention to those things. Everything you're saying right now that a radio listener does, I've done. I start arguing with the radio, like, hey, what the hell? That's not true. Yeah. Like, you start arguing with the radio, and it's like, and and that's why I like having conversation with successful people. Like I told you, like, I'm not looking for anything from you or from anybody. I'm just looking to get better at this and, get better equipment, get better myself, and just improve all around. That's all I'm looking for. Like I was even getting out in the email that I sent you. I was like, hey, don't even mention me anywhere that you have any platform on, because I don't want to feel like I'm just grabbing onto you and
but it doesn't. It shouldn't even feel that way, because when you're creating content and when you're helping other Latinos, you're supposed to elevate yourself. Like I didn't do entertainment because I wanted to be a gatekeeper of information, or I wanted to be the only Latino radio host who came from the IE, who came from Michoacán, from a rancho, who chased this dream. Like, no, like I'm on this ride. Come on with me. Right. And then you bring on the next generation of people and you motivate other people, because I'm sick and tired of the whole like who's a Latino's worst enemy? Another Latino. I'm like, well, then you're with the wrong Latino.
Yeah,
kick it with me. Like let's grow together.
Each other. Yeah. You know what? And that's what's taking me forever to learn about in life general, because I remember, like, I'm honest with myself. If I know I'm being an asshole, I'll be like, hey, I'm just being an asshole. I'm sorry. But I realize that I'm a hater. I really, right. But I catch myself, because sometimes I'll see that somebody has success in something, or like there's been times where I try to talk to somebody, but another podcaster got in and I start hating, but I don't go on their page and start hating on them. Just inside of me, I'm like, this fucking assholes, I could have done better and this and that, but but I catch myself. I'm like, no, relax. It's there's for everybody. There's enough for everybody. This pie isn't big. This big enough for everybody. But that's what took me forever to learn to catch myself. When I'm being a hater, like I said right now, when I'm being a hater, I catch myself and I correct it. Because I've said it before, like if I feel like I'm doing something wrong and I don't like the results and I don't like how it feels, I've learned to just stop that and correct it. Just
Yeah, and it's very important to like identify those emotions,
Right.
But don't hide away from those emotions. I've always been a huge advocate of expressing emotions, good or bad. And I wouldn't even say there's good or bad. They're just emotions. Let them out, learn to control them, deal with them, express them. Because yo también siempre he sido muy hablador, and my mouth has gotten me in trouble so many times as a kid because I would just get into. It's funny enough, like I stopped talking to a cousin for about 2-3 years because when I was in my early phases of like, oh, I'm a teenager, I was 14, 13, he would have conversations. He was a year older, but he would have conversations with his friends, and I hadn't grasped the concept of wait your turn to talk. So they would have a conversation and I would just have an opinion. And then he'd be like, oh, this mother is so annoying. Like he wants to talk about everything, has an opinion about everything. Lo and behold, I work in radio. So it made sense.
But you have to know when to. You have to learn when to
listen.
Yeah. And don't just be right there is anxious waiting for the other person to stop talking so that you can get your point across because you're not listening to what they're saying. And I know I've done that as I'm learning, and I know I still do it sometimes, but I try not to because, like I said, I'm learning to catch myself and what I'm doing wrong because, like I said, I want to get good at this. I want to get the point of this.
Listen to radio.
Oh, it's that and podcasts. Those are my two things that I listen to. I don't even listen to music. I do listen to music, but it's not like my main to go to. Mm-hmm. It's not my main go. Is that the right? Yeah, that's
go to.
Yeah, go to. Jesus Christ. It's not my main.
I think in English, and I try to say it in Spanish, or I'll think in Spanish, and I try to say it in English. Y se me atropellan las palabras.
Let me ask you: Are you like me that if you know that somebody speaks English and understands English fully, like that's what you'll go to, and if you know that they don't speak English and they only speak Spanish, you'll just automatically switch to that. Do you do that too? Even though the other person that speaks perfect English, they speaks perfect Spanish, like, do you just always jump to English when?
If somebody's talking to me in English, I will talk to them in English. If somebody's talking to me in Spanish, I will talk to them in Spanish. Obviously, in radio, like you can tell that some people really want to get their point across and they're trying in Spanish. Luckily, we're a bilingual station. So I just start saying things in English. And if they catch on, great. If they want to continue to say it in Spanish, then I let them be. If I'm out in public and somebody's trying to talk to me in English, but I know they're preferring to do Spanish, or Spanish is probably like an easier language. Comedy to me is like the best method of relief. So I always say like, oye, amigo, ¿hablas español? And if they say yes, I always say like, ay, entonces, ¿por qué me estás haciendo que me gaste todo mi inglés? You know, like I just try to make a joke out of it. So then it kind of just eases the tension of me trying to say like, let's speak Spanish because like, you know, you're more comfortable with it. If they continue to speak English, then I respect that.
Right. Yeah. I'm more like that too. But if somebody speaks to me in Spanish and I know for a fact that they can speak English or understand English, like my brain just automatically switches to English. Like there's something, even with my kids, I do that. And my wife, just every day, talk to them in Spanish.
Sí, háblales español porque es muy importante.
Yeah, no, I know it. I know
the code switching, it's tough.
Yeah, because I understand that it'll help them develop a better sense, you know, better brain connectivity or activity.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make them a better human beings. I try to, like, everything that I'm doing as far as reading and trying to get better at things, I have them do too. And they don't like it. They hate it. But hey, I already told them, like, listen to me. When you're over 20 years old, you're going to be thanking me that I made you do this. And, you know, and I like to think that they realize what I'm telling them might be true, because he smiles And just goes was like, all right, okay, I'll go do it. You know, but so he listens to it and goes and does what I'm, because right now that they're on vacation, what I have him do is read and write. I don't care what you write, but write. Whether it's your thoughts.
What my mom made us do.
Yeah. So because
like when we were in summer break as well.
Yeah. So because like I said, I don't want him to be the loser that I was. Because I don't want them to do what I didn't do. It's not what I want. It's what I want them to use their full potential, you know, to be better humans, better than, and not falling in paths that I fell into, you know. I
always like to say, like, reflect on that as words have power. So right now when I'm hearing you say like, oh, I'm a loser, I'm like, I don't think you're a loser. I think you took an L, which you learned. So I always like to say like my L's are lessons. I learned from those lessons. Okay. So, I mean, I'm huge on words of affirmation and how one describes himself, because I was like that. I'm like, oh, I'm ugly, I'm fat, like you'll never make it. And because I have acne scars. So there was a lot of self-conscious growing up and trying to even work in the entertainment industry, thinking that if I were to ever work in the entertainment industry, that's what people would see and gravitate to. And obviously once I started, it was a lot of self-therapy and, you know, but then you start realizing like, okay, that's a thing of the past, and you start learning what self-love and self-care means, and that words matter. And, you know, self-care and self-love doesn't just necessarily mean like I'm going to take care of myself, how I eat, how I sleep and whatnot. There's a lot of other things, you know, mental, physical, social health, you know?
Right.
So, yeah. So I'm huge on like, hey.
You know what?
Don't be too hard on yourself.
I am, but I'm not. Because when I say I'm a loser, I stopped believing it, but I say it because I feel like I really was. But I'm not today, because like you said, I'm seeing everything as it was a lesson for me to learn. Yeah. That's how I'm seeing now. But when I say that I'm a loser, and I'm talking in past tense, I mean, like, I really was, because I wasn't doing nothing with my life. Check this out. I was at a warehouse waiting for me to get a better position so I could get a house, and that never happened. Although the house did come through, but I had to switch from warehouse jobs to construction, which is a little bit more. I like to say it's better. It's at least better than warehouse. Definitely, yes. At least I'm sorry.
I worked warehouse for like 4 days and then I quit.
You did the same thing I did with college.
I did the other way around.
Yeah. No, but school wasn't for me. I think it should have been, but I didn't choose it.
It's not for everyone. I realize that now. I think if you were to have this conversation with me like 5-6 years ago, I'd be like, yes, everybody needs to go to college. Yes, yes. And now I'm like, it's not. Yeah, you know, the price of college, unfortunately, is not worth the information that you can get from a book, from YouTube, and apply it. Like I told my brother, because my brother dropped out of college, I'm like, look, if you have a plan, you don't need college. Do your plan. If you don't have a plan, I recommend you stay in college, but it's your choice. At the end of the day, choices, and I'm huge, and they'll be like, Jose's a broken record, because he tells us this all the time. And I always say, look, in life, you always have choices. Just know that sometimes your choices will lead you to a great path, sometimes towards a struggling path. But you have to be okay with both, with the choice that you made and with the possible outcomes. So if you decide to leave college, just know that it was your choice. So sometimes when, like, we have responsibilities here at the house, and he comes home and he's like, I'll do the dishes later. I'm freaking tired from work, because he's also working kind of warehouse. And I'm like, remember, you're there by choice. You're there by choice.
That's a
and you're
good
here
way
by
to
choice. I do my work by choice too. because it's a product of the things that I've been doing. And I still did dishes and I still did this.
Right.
So if we're working two different jobs, but they're both by choice.
Right.
But we still have responsibilities to do them.
Exactly. So you choose your choices keep you where you're at, or you choose to make a plan to get out of where you're at. Either way, a choice has to be made and a plan has to be in place. Because if you don't have a plan, well, life will give you a plan.
Yes. Yes.
And it might not be the plan that you like, but
life moves real quick.
Yeah.
I'm like, how am I 30?
Oh, you're telling me I'm 32 this year already? Jesus Christ!
I'll be 31 in a couple months.
You're still behind me though. You're still a little younger, but that's okay. No.
You got 2 kids. I'm like, you got 2 kids. I would have loved to have kids in my 20s, but then I reflect and I'm like, nah.
Well, you know what? I think, but this is just my opinion, right? It could be good and it could be also bad because. If you have kids older, when you're older, you don't have the same energy that you had in your 20s. Because like when I was in my earlier 20s, I used to grab my kids, go hike in the mountains with my wife and my kid in my arms, just walking. I had the energy for that. Yeah. But now, but also I'm also doing more things today too. So maybe that's what
I was gonna say, like, but I also, because my cousin tells me the exact same thing, and I'm like, I think that's subjective. I'm naturally a high energy person until this day. Maybe I don't have as much energy as in my 20s, but when when I have kids, like, I don't want to say I'm Mario Lopez, but I see Mario Lopez and I'm like, bro, like, you doing everything and you still involved with your kids. Like, if you could do it at 48 and you had your first kid at 37, then sure as hell, I'm right behind you.
Yeah, you know what? You are right. But I will also say Mario Lopez doesn't work construction.
That is also true.
But hey, I'm not saying he doesn't work hard. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that him and I, we get tired differently. Just like you and I, we get tired differently. You get tired mentally because you're thinking, your mind is just processing things. Me, I get tired physically because I'm in the sun, swinging a hammer, doing this, doing that. You know, so it's a different tired, but it's the same, I guess. You know, we chose to do what we're doing. We chose to do what we're doing. It's our fault. There's nobody else to blame. Well, Jose, I really, really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to have this conversation with you and get to know a little bit about you. Please go ahead again, plug everything you have going on and go from there.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Jose Quintero TV, at Jose Quintero TV. You can also listen to my podcast, Echale Podcast. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Echale Podcast, or on YouTube. And if you're ever in Los Angeles, or just download the app Cali 93.9, listen to us, Cali 93.9, with me, Jose Quintero, and Angelica Vale.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen and non-binary folk, thank you for listening. And Jose Quintero, I appreciate you and your time. Thank you very much for having this conversation with me and getting to know a little bit of you and what you've done and how you've gotten to where you are. Thank you. Everybody, deuces.